Hello Skillr Boxers. Before AB encountered all the problems outside the ring,
and don't nobody touch me, because it's about to be a problem.
Inside the ring, he was a problem himself. And to understand why, you really have to see what he was doing to elite fighters at their own game. Adrien Broner, the Problem, was one of the slickest and quickest lightweights of his era. But his incredible speed and reflexes were not the only things that made him special. What truly made Broner dangerous was his skill set. A sly, deceptive style built around traps, baiting reactions, and catching opponents off guard. Today, we are going to break down AB's boxing style by analysing his characteristic punching style, his slick defense, his many different counters, and his signature right hand off the rock, where he manipulates distance and weight distribution to land his rear hand unexpectedly. And we'll also give you a workout to practice this technique. And some of these sequences are so subtle that you don't even notice them happening in real time. As you'll see, many of these techniques are built on Broner's understanding of guards and weight distribution. So to understand his style properly, we first need to look at his stance. Boxing stance. Broner fights out of an orthodox stance. The first thing you'll notice is his unusually wide base, often standing with his feet more parallel than most traditional boxers. As we've mentioned in previous videos, a wider stance comes with both advantages and disadvantages. One downside is reduced lateral mobility, as Freddie Roach explains in this clip.
I see a lot of fighters, they want to get a little bit too parallel because it makes them a smaller target. It's a good idea, of course, but we need a little bit of base of lateral movement.
However, the advantage is that having the feet wider and more parallel makes you a smaller target and provides much greater stability moving backward and forward. But what's interesting is how Broner turns that defensive advantage into an offensive weapon. This is especially important for Broner's style because it allows him to move quickly in and out of range for counters. That wide base lets him shift his weight between the front and back foot while remaining stable, which, as we'll see, is perfect for baiting opponents into his sneaky uppercuts. And this is where things start to become dangerous for his opponents. Other times, he will transfer his weight to the front foot to deceive his opponent and land his signature right hand off the rock. But we'll cover all the details later in the video. In that case, he will also use his high guard to hide his attacks and bait the opponent. But usually he will fight out of a Philly shell, rolling with shots and countering from that guard. All these attacks are founded on a unique way of punching, which allows him to throw long combinations without stopping. Snapping punches. When you watch Broner throw combinations, the first thing that stands out is his incredible speed. But another thing you notice is how fluid and effortless his combinations look. Every punch flows naturally into the next. The punches appear relaxed, yet the impact still looks sharp and damaging. This is what we call snapping punches. But how does he achieve such a relaxed punching style while still being damaging at the same time? This snapping punching style reminds us of other combination punchers who looked effortless when attacking. Muhammad Ali is the perfect example of this relaxed way of punching. Whenever you watch Ali throw combinations, there is almost no visible tension in his body. Yet his punches snap his opponent's head back. Broner uses a very similar principle. And once you start noticing it, you realise almost every combination he throws follows this rhythm. The key to this style is understanding when to use tension. And that timing is what separates clean combinations from wasted energy. Instead of staying tense throughout the entire movement, they keep the arms relaxed while using the legs, hips and shoulders to generate force. Then, at the exact moment of impact, they briefly tense the arm to create that snapping effect before relaxing again immediately afterward. This creates combinations that are fluid, fast and difficult to read. Because the body stays relaxed, the punches are less telegraphed. The opponent doesn't see as much muscular tension before the shot comes.
That may have taken a little bit of effect.
And because you are not constantly tensing your muscles, you also conserve much more energy and become more economical with your punching. This snapping style is especially evident in Broner's check hook. But to counter effectively like Broner, you also need an overall slick defense. Broner was not just a quick puncher, he was also a highly skilled technician. And defensively, this is where he becomes extremely frustrating to deal with. He constantly used defensive tools to evade attacks, reposition himself and escape dangerous situations. Again, it all starts with his stance. That wide base gave him tremendous stability, allowing him to defend using subtle waist movement, parries, shoulder rolls and slips without losing balance. Whenever he got trapped near the ropes or cornered, he would use waist movement to slip undershots and turn his opponent. This is called manoeuvring the opponent, and it's one of those subtle details often seen in experienced pro boxers. Some boxers live in that grey area of rough techniques and manoeuvres that the pro boxing game usually allows. This is yet another sneaky way Broner controlled his opponents in the ring. Speaking of sneaky techniques, Broner had some of the slyest counters in the game, and they came in many different forms. Sly Counters. Out of that Philly shell, Broner would throw incredibly long counters, sometimes evading and countering 3-punch attacks back to back.
As we see a lot with Mayweather. Broner with 27 wins has 22 knockouts.
He would use shoulder rolls, parries and blocks to then quickly come back with his rear hand, often with a cross or an uppercut. In particular, his uppercut counter was especially sneaky. And it's usually the punch opponents don't see coming until it's already landed. If you remember the beginning of the video, we mentioned his weight distribution. Well, Broner would often keep his weight on the back foot, inviting the opponent to throw and lunge forward. Depending on the attack, he would parry or block the punch and quickly come back with a quick uppercut.
Rather than just to sit back and wait to counter.
Because his weight is on the back foot, it appears like a defensive position, and many opponents don't expect that quick uppercut coming from there. Another one of his sneaky counter punches is his check hook. And this is where timing becomes absolutely critical. His check hook is thrown incredibly quickly and with that same snapping style of punching. He would simply wait for the opponent to lunge in, then lean or step back just enough to make him fall short and catch him with the lead hook. In other instances, he wouldn't wait and instead would force a reaction from the opponent. The first way he would bait an opponent was with his jab. He would throw a very quick jab to pepper the opponent and make him react with an attack. Already anticipating it, he would follow the jab with that quick lead hook, catching the opponent mid-attack. He would also use his high guard to bait the opponent. Seeing the defensive posture and the high guard covering up, the opponent would likely see it as an opportunity to attack. Broner, anticipating it, would again get out of range and throw his quick hook.
These left shots to the body just continue. You're one of the elite fighters.
And he would use that same bait with the high guard to throw his signature punch. Right hand off the rock. A big shout out to War Sports for being the first to notice this technique. We have heard many times to never throw the cross as a lead punch without setting it up with the lead hand first. The reason behind this is that the cross has a really long path to travel, and when thrown as a lead punch, it becomes too predictable and can leave you exposed for the counter. However, what if you could disguise that cross by using your weight distribution and tricking your opponent's perception of distance? This is exactly where Broner starts bending that rule. What Broner often did is rock back and forth, moving his weight from back foot to front foot repeatedly. He used this motion to confuse the opponent and subtly get himself into range to throw the cross. And the key detail is how little movement is actually needed to change everything. When he had his weight on the front foot, he was now in range and had his rear hand aligned to throw the cross and connect. He threw it very subtly and quickly, often catching opponents off guard. Sometimes he would leave his hands out there, baiting the opponent to reach with their own hands and opening up a clearer path for the cross.
Демарко пока что многовато ударов пропускает. Пока что вот эта манера.
Other times, he would rock forward with the high guard up, again disguising that quick cross. And he would not only use this back and forth motion to land the cross, but also to deceive opponents with other attacks, constantly playing with distance and making himself difficult to read. And when you're trying to time this, you often realise the danger only after it's too late. That's why this week's workout is focused on learning how to punch off the rock. On the Skillr training app, this week's workout is inspired by the same technique used by Adrien Broner, helping you internalise the mechanics of rocking back and forth and learn how to punch effectively off the rock. Inside the Skillr training app, you'll find more than 50 different workouts. You can train them on the bag, shadow boxing, or even with a partner. Every Saturday, we release a new workout connected to our videos, so you can put everything you learn into practice. Outthink and outbox with the Skillr training app. Whether some argue that Adrien Broner never fulfilled his potential, AB still won world titles in 4 different weight classes. However, it is true that his inconsistency and lack of discipline outside the ring, especially later in his career, clearly affected his performances, leaving many people wondering what could have been if he had stayed fully focused and disciplined. Some boxers are the complete opposite. In our next episode, we are going to break down a boxer who started incredibly late, at the age of 24, but through a very particular style and incredible discipline, was able to become a legend of the sport and win multiple world titles, including one at 49 years old.
You think I'm that good? I'm not that talented that way. Roy Jones was talented and 10 times more than me. But something that I understood from day one you keep your body clean, your mind clean, and you don't get caught up in this bullshit that goes on with success, you will be all right. And I live by them codes, man.
So if you want to follow the full Skillr Breakdown series, you can find the playlist here with all the episodes. And if you don't want to miss that next episode, you can subscribe and turn on notifications.